everyone, and welcome back to Minecraft, specifically the 50 sub special today. Yes, it is the 50 subscriber special today. So I have built something quite good for you today. It's one of my favorite and one of my I'm most proud of this as one of my creations. Yes, we are back with another redstone video. Take a look. This is well, I don't really have a name for it, but if I really wanted to call it something marketable, it would be a Minecraft processor. But really, it is a thing which can translate a number of items, any item you want in the game, and turn that into a photo, which is currently a 4x4 display in black and white. Now, this is the preview, because I was trying to get this huge monstrosity of a thing out as the 50 subscriber special, a full-color 16x16 display, but that just was not going to happen, and when I reached 50 subs on Wednesday, I was like, okay, we got to have something out by the weekend for the 50 subscriber special, and here it is. So I built this in those few days before. This was entirely designed before that. And it's just been really great. It's a much smaller version, only black and white, and it only prints a 4x4 square, but it does function. So basically, the idea behind this was we get a bunch of items, a number of items, and this whole thing can process that number of items and can process that and turn that into a photo. And it runs on toggling these lamps on and off. It runs on basically toggling these lamps on and off, and binary, if you want to really get into using real-life computer comparisons. So let's go over exactly how it works. So first, we input a certain amount of items. So I'm going to go ahead and grab why not some wood? We can just grab here. Let's grab here. I'll make it a random amount. We'll just divide that in half and put down let's make it 10 or something. Here, let's do something random 17. There we go. That should provide a pretty a non-square root of 2 number, so that because square root of 2 numbers have an interesting effect with this machine, because for a reason I will explain to you right now. So what happens? Well, if you are not aware of how Minecraft hoppers work, if they are being powered, they don't actually function. So since this hopper will be powered, it is not taking items from up here. So the items will essentially be stagnant in this hopper here, and every once in a while, it'll take an item through. Now, this is the rate at which the computer can process your request with the number of items. So what happens then is that every once in a while, it'll go through here. This comparator, once it reaches this hopper, will sense that there's an item in the hopper and will flick the fence gate very briefly open and close. And this is a little bit of a convoluted system because it was developed from earlier systems, and I probably could improve it, but I just wanted to do this right now. So anyway, it's really stupid. The observer senses the fence gate doing something and updates itself to output a redstone signal, and then this observer notices the redstone signal being outputted and says there's been a block update, and then outputs its own signal, which is what this whole thing's actually rigged up to. So it's a little convoluted, but it works. So what happens here? This is the true grit, if you want to call it that, of the thing. Now you'll notice I have used structure blocks for this. There are no command blocks in this, and there are no weird glitches or anything. This is pure vanilla. You could build this in vanilla. I just did not want to have to build this whole thing over again. So I essentially built one little cell. You can see kind of where the cells are. One little cell here. Then copy and pasted 4 of them, and then copied those 4 in a thing, and then copy and pasted those 4 times again. So you see we've got the 4 huge boxes here, and the last one may have actually gone away. Yeah, there's in a box around the last one because I got rid of that structure block. So anyway, so what happens? So once this sends out a signal, we get 2 things here. Now what these repeaters do is essentially they basically slow down the signal enough, because an observer's signal is very, very quick. And ordinarily, this piston up here or any of these other pistons could not detect that signal at all. And so it would not actually function. So what these repeaters do, as well as slowing down when they output the signal, they also make the signal longer. They'll last longer. So it'll start, the signal coming to them will be, let's say, 1 tick long, but then they will output a signal that's 4 ticks long. I have no clue if these are actually actual real numbers, and I just pulled those out of thin air. But it lengthens the signal length. So anyway, what happens here is once it's off, it will come through here, and it'll come through here as you go along this redstone. For one thing, it'll come through here. Now, this is a thing that I have used in my, kind of iPhone lock screen type thing, where you'll have a signal saver. So this goes in here, it powers this block, which then powers this, which then powers the whole thing over again. So it stays lit up forever. Now, I have sort of come up with this, and the idea, well, other people may have also, but the idea is that then, if you want to end the signal saving, you can simply just retract that piston and in turn retract that block. Once the signal is saved, it'll be outputting forever, and so therefore we'll output this block here. And this block will extend, and then it'll change from the signal going through here to the signal going through here next time it receives a pulse, which we'll get to in one moment. But first I want to address this. So another thing that it does is it'll power this block, which then in turn powers this redstone here. Now this is a little thing which is, I brainstormed actually earlier this morning when I was finishing up the machine. The idea here is that the signal will come here and power this redstone lamp. And then afterwards it powers this block, which will turn off the redstone torch. There's a creaking in the door. So essentially the lamp is staying lit. However, it stays lit even though the signal changes, it inverts itself. However, once it goes off, this turns off first. And since the repeater is here, it takes a while before the redstone torch comes back on. So only when this part is turned off does the observer actually notice anything and give another pulse to the next one. This is very important because this is where the binary comes in. So let's say we've got we can use a different block for this. Let's say sandstone. We've got two types of pulses. Let me make it a day time set to day. We've got two types of pulses. Now, the generic pulse is just sandstone. When it receives a pulse at the beginning, it says, oh, okay, switch that to 1. Then, when it receives another pulse, it says, turn that to off and put the next one as this. And then it gets a pulse here, puts that there, and then, if it gets a third pulse, it goes here, and then puts a block on it sends a pulse to the next one. And that goes on and on and on and on. I know this is a little confusing, but just stick with me. It'll re-resolve later. So, now, let's just put an item through here so I can demonstrate this to you. Just do some red dye, put it in here. There we go. And then, so this then gets lit up, you see, and the lamp is now lit up, and the observer didn't notice anything, so it didn't output its pulse, and in turn, the repeater has turned off the torch, and so now it's this that's powering it. So, you see, now the signal is staying, and this lamp is lit up. And also, another thing you'll notice over here is the fact that this lamp then, this repeater takes the signal from the lamp and gives it to this piston. Excuse me. Now, one thing is, this is essentially the firing lane. This is the lever that says print the picture. All this other stuff is essentially coding what the picture is going to look like. This lever, when you flick this lever just a brief period of time, it actually says that the picture should start printing. Everything's been set. We know what we're going to print it. This is just a little excess from the fact that we copy and pasted this a lot, so I'll get rid of that so it's not too confusing. So what happens here is the fact that is that the signal comes through here, and then what happens is that since they're over here, you'll notice there is no block here. So this signal ends at this repeater. However, on the left, it goes through this slime block into this redstone redstone bit, down here and onto this chain, which lasts all the way back to our display, and it goes all the way there. And basically, when it receives that pulse, if we go all the way down, you can see, you can follow the trail. It's the left one, up these trail ladders, and bam, this piston pushes a white block out, and it basically says print a white block. That is what happens. Now, if we go back to our first block, you'll notice that this has moved. Now, that's because, as I said before, now that this is all lit up, it pushes this piston over 1. Now, what this does is, instead of having this one not fire, as is the case over there, this one fires and this one doesn't fire. So this one fires, and it ends up, instead of going down to the left, it goes down to the right, and this is the same sort of system here. And just a little explanation for this. This powers here, which then allows the signal to continue traveling, even though there isn't actually a continual signal, but the signal does go all the way down. And so the signal comes all the way down here, and then goes left, and you'll notice that is a black block. So, what have we covered so far? But the essential idea is the fact that if you really don't want to care about each of the individual redstone things, let's call this a unit or a bit or whatever you want. This is a bit. Let's just call it a bit. I'll use the terms interchangeably. This is a unit, okay? So this unit, when it receives a pulse, it turns on. When it receives another pulse, it turns itself off and turns the next one on. When it receives a second pulse, it outputs a pulse and turns itself off and resets it to its original state. Now, the output pulse is over here with this observer block, and it outputs a pulse here. And when this one gets a pulse, it does the same thing as the first one. It says, oh, I've received a pulse, turn on. And then when it receives another pulse, by the other one receiving 2 pulses, it then outputs a third pulse, it then outputs its own pulse to the next one and turns itself off. So it's kind of like binary, if you really want to think about it that way. That was kind of my original idea, was the fact that we can convert these items into a binary number. Of course, you have to read it backwards because, you know, that's 0. This is like because if you move it here, then it ends up being 10, which is 2. And then if it's here, it's, wait, let me think about that for a second. That would be 4. Yeah, if it's here, it's 4, you know, 100 is 4. And so you have to kind of read it backwards to the way it is. So you really should view it from this side. This is the better idea. So you can read it like this. A lit signal is a 1, a non-lit signal is a 0. Or you can also think of it as a non-lit signal is a white block being outputted, being printed on the screen, and a black, and a on signal is a black block being outputted on the screen. Let's go. So yeah, so let's just, now is the time where we will, and if you really want to reset it, let's just grab some redstone. If you want to reset the whole thing, you can delete this so that this one doesn't get a signal when this is turned off. Doop. And then we can put that back and it's all fixed up. So there we go. Now we've got a whole reset type thing, and we can just put in our blocks up here. So let's just put these oak in, and you can see it run. And it takes a while to kick in. So there goes 1, and then it receives a second pulse, you see, and then it'll changes to the next, and then it gives the next one to the next, and then it goes like this overflow type thing and goes to the third one, and it continues on and on and on and on. All the way down as far as you want it to go. Now, that was not a pre-prepared number, 64 and 17. That was just me pulling something out of thin air. I may actually stop this and find a smaller number, so for demonstration purposes, or maybe I can just make a cut here and wait for it to load. This actually shouldn't take that long. Well, as you can see, it only runs as fast as a pulse here. Actually, while this is loading, I can explain to you the mechanism of this machine over here. So so once we actually flick it to run, it'll go down the line, listening to what each individual unit is saying to print and printing that. So once it receives a pulse here, it outputs a white block, and when it receives a pulse here, it outputs a black block. So once it outputs a block, let's just say a white block comes down. A white block falls off the edge and comes down here. Now it lands on this block here, and this is essentially a thing that only lets one through, because the thing needs to sort of have a it can't, having too many, this bottom portion will, it'll break if there are too many. So this, we don't actually need this here, it's kind of distracting. We just want it on a loop so that it doesn't go too fast. So it only lets in one at a time, and it lets them in on a timed schedule so that it can't overflow the system basically, and we don't lose blocks. So what happens here is, let's just grab some sand as a demonstration. I mean, not some sand, concrete powder. I'm using concrete powder as a sort of preparation for the next thing over there with colored concrete powder. So let's wait for it to, oh, actually we can do it up here. So let's just put some concrete powder down. Okay, there is an extremely rare case, which I actually haven't seen before, is when, oh, you know what it is actually? I just realized something, is the fact that we actually need this quartz block here because it is keeping us alive. So let's just put this down here. It wasn't actually an extremely rare case. It was just me breaking that earlier. So wait for it to have a good timing, and then put that down there. And then it takes one at a time, and that senses that there's a block there and pushes it over. Now, an effect of this is the fact that it always prints to the bottom right to top left. So you see, as it goes in, it prints this one, then over here, and if we just put in 2 more, you can see the effects that this has. So once it gets 4 in a row, then that observer block notices that there's a block there, and in turn prints this and prints that bottom row. And since this one was printed first before this one, that means that it is loading right bottom to top left. So, yeah, so this runs on a timer. The way this works is the fact that this redstone torch is outputting the signal here. And whenever there's a block here, this repeater is able to take that signal and translate it into another signal over here, which then turns the piston off, which retracts both of these blocks, and then allows the block to fall down and be pushed over along. So you see it happen here. You can watch the signal turn on, the signal turns on, and then once it turns back off again, because the block has now moved out of the way because it was allowed to fall, then this whole thing pushes it over, and then it moves to the right. Now the reason I made it 2 blocks tall is because if we were to put the quartz blocks here for the redstone torch to rest on, then the actual then the concrete powder can't actually progress along the line and, you know, be printed. So, let's go ahead and check up on our good old friend, the machine. Is it still running? It's done. Perfect. So you can see we've got three black pulses. So we've got the so this will be the bottom right corner being printed, and then the one above that being printed, and then here, let me just show you on the board. If I am not mistaken, it will print like this. So one black block here, one black block here, and one black block here. So I think that is where the black box will be if I have been corrected, if I've you know, anticipated correctly. So let's go ahead and take it off. I'll follow along as it goes along so you can see exactly what happens. So let's go ahead and take this off. So you'll see the pulse then gets emitted down here along this line and goes down, and then the next one should come in a second. Yep, the next one, then the next one, it's actually going along the left side because that's a white block outputter. And you see they begin to stack up. And you see it kind of is it's working pretty nicely, printing them out just as I have expected. Actually, no, not quite as I have expected. So yeah, not quite as I expected, but still, it's functioning. And it has taken the output, you know, it worked. I just incorrectly. Yes, actually, that makes perfect sense if you have not noticed, because you see, this one would print out actually just one block to the left, and then another block to the left, so 2 blocks to the left of this one, which printed at the far right. So I actually, that was my miscalculation. That was the problem there, not actually the machine printing wrong, and it outputted 1 extra white block. Oh, you know why it outputted 1 extra white block? So we didn't actually get rid of that concrete powder there, which we had from the very beginning. So yes, the machine, it functioned. Now, one thing I forgot to explain is this bit here. Basically, the idea is when it reaches the end, when we put 4 blocks here, let me just actually simulate this by actually putting 4 blocks, block, 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 block. So once we get 4 blocks, the blocks will, looks like we had a misprint here. A block was lost to the ground. Oops, that's a rare occurrence. I can assure you that, because it's actually the first time I've seen this happen in the trial runs that I've had. So let's just go ahead and put these 4 blocks back again, and it should function correctly this time. So you see we've got 1 block there, then the next one comes, and then the next one comes, and then it prints them all out. Now this one will malfunction and not actually be shown because it's a 5th row, and it will hide there, and it's got some buffer area too, so that it doesn't, you know, overflow and wreck the top row here. So you see, and then it prints the next one once it reaches here. Now the way this works, let me just, I have this handy dandy resetting mechanism, so just pull the lever, and then we can go ahead and collect the items, and reset it so it's ready for another row and another printing. So the way this works is that whenever there's a block here, excuse me, I did not mean to destroy that. Whenever the observer detects a block update, it says, oh, look, there has been a block update. So it gives power to this quartz block, and this redstone receives the power from the quartz block and gives it to, and redirects it to the block underneath the redstone torch, turning the redstone torch off, and the redstone torch is the one powering all these pistons so that they are held out, and so that the blocks don't fall. And so that essentially means that the pistons will retract once there's a block here, and then they will let the row fall down and print itself. Now, we were having the same trouble here, is the fact that the pulse was so fast that if we didn't have these row of quartz here, it would just print on that area. And that is exactly what happened with our thing above. For if we didn't have this quartz block, and we decided to put something here, it fires so fast that it then goes on to the redstone and destroys itself, because redstone will destroy concrete powder. So that's the problem we're having there. That's why we need that quartz block. So yeah, that's it. That's how it works, and this is yeah, that's basically it. Now now that is the final version of this, but I will be now previewing my large creation over here. Yeah, so this is going to be a 16 by 16 printer. It has many of the same functions, such as this long line of pistons that retract. This thing, which is like a time extender, so like it extends the whole thing. It's complicated. I'm currently having trouble with this whole bit in here. This whole business here. I think one of the things that I actually did not realize I could do, and I discovered with this one, was this little mechanism right here, which I've used here. So it's a block detector instead of an observer, with this torch and this redstone, and whenever it hits a block there, it sends a pulse out, and then when there's not a block there, it stops the pulse. So that's something I'm definitely going to be applying over here on the top there. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not really ready to show you exactly this working because it's not really working currently. I'm still working out a lot of the kinks and flaws with it. This is sort of the testing ground for it. But I am willing to show you, most certainly, how I developed the units. So let's go over to the original testing ground for them, which is not over here. It is back here because I just flew right over it because I was stupid. Let's begin with the very first edition, which was this little guy here. The idea was that we could have a thing where, like, it receives a pulse, it lights up, but then in the case of it being lit up, with some sort of, I was thinking that maybe some sort of timing mechanism could be used so that only when it was lit up did it turn off, and when it was turned off it could light up. But alas, every time this pulled, it just would light. It would try to light up, but it would unfortunately not light up ever. So then we moved to this section, which was very convoluted and was a dependent if statement, like it was very, very crude, and it didn't really like make sense. Like then it went to like that thing, fired it twice, and just ended up in the same state as it begun. This was very confusing, but it did make me think of if statements with this block here, which then got me thinking about if statements. And I needed a very quick pulse, which is how I chose the observer block. So yeah, this one is also very convoluted and it's like kind of like, you know, you've got to search around for everything, and it's not very efficient. So, you know, it runs on the same principle. If there's a block update here, then it turns, then the whole, what's it called? I'm now forgetting. Pulse saving device turns off, and then if there's another block update, the pulse saving device turns back on. That's the basic idea. Now, it runs on the same principles as the other one. You know, if it goes this way, then stop powering the piston and pull that out and turn it off. But if it's off and it receives a pulse, then come through this way, go over this thing, down here, and turn it on. And that was it. And this was how I figured out. And well, then after that, I began optimizing, and I came up with this layout, which is the basis for the current layout we have today, except without the slightly different because it doesn't have the detection systems detecting the other one. This was also when I began experimenting with structure blocks because I realized I would have to copy and paste this a lot. So I decided to start using those, and yeah, it turned out really well. So you can see it kind of works. It works exactly the same way. You know, it turns on, it turns off, it turns on, it turns off. The same way. Let's then go over to some later additions I came up with. You know, this is just me copy and pasting these a lot. And then I sort of came up with this. I put two of them next to each other and decided to figure out how I could, you know, make them hook up to one another. This was the first edition of that. Having this piston here, this was kind of the first thing I theorized about it, was that, but it kind of didn't really work because it was essentially extended the pulse so that when this one received a block update, it turned that on, and when this one received another block update, it turned that off. So this one didn't really work, but it did sort of lead me into this one. Well, no, this was a failed experiment. This one, which is, I believe, this version here. Yeah, this is actually, it. Yeah, this is the current state. This is the structure block I used to save this. I called it a bit if you didn't notice. This is the structure block I actually used to save it and have it work. So you'll see here, essentially the idea is the same, very same principle. Receives a pulse. Doesn't seem to be working right now. No, apparently it's not. Okay, oh yes, I do remember I made one modification when I actually pasted them. I realized I had made a mistake or something. I had like gone to an earlier thing. I don't really remember. But either way, we have now migrated to a better version. Yes, here's the final edition, I believe. I think. Hopefully. No, this is not the final edition. You know what it was? I remember now. We need a repeater so I can demonstrate to you. We needed this to be a direct power. You need a repeater on one side of the blocks to actually get it to function, to actually get the other side or the first side to be able to put in an input. Basically, here, let me give a demonstration. So we've got a block here. Torch, redstone, you know, you'd think this block would be in power and this could sense it, but no. But a repeater can sense it if it is being powered by a generic one. And if it's being powered by a repeater, a generic one can sense it. So one of the two sides needs to have that. So I added a repeater here later, actually, and yeah, that's what made it work. So if we just do that over here, it should actually work. Here we go. All right, let's go. So we try this, you know, lights up, When it gets another update, it turns off, lights the next one up. When it gets another update, it gets this one. And when it gets another update, turns it off. It gives another pulse to the next one, which that turns off. But since this one doesn't actually have any pulse emitting powers, it doesn't actually do anything because it overflows basically. Gets an overflow value and turns itself off. Yeah, that's it. And that's how I developed the bit, and how I came to have this monstrosity of a thing being in my Redstone world. And this was just really awesome. And this was a project I've loved doing. After I finish up with that 16-bit thing, I may move on to like some sort of adder, being able to input items and it sets the bits, and then you say I want to give 21 plus 52. And then it sort of does that, and then once you get that all going, and then it gives, then depending on these whole, this whole thing, depending on which ones are lit up, then it can translate that back into numbers, and then it can be like an adding machine or something. I don't know. I'm just theorizing things I could do with this because this is awesome, and I really love my idea. Here, I sort of had this idea because my anyway, yeah, it's or statements. This is kind of the what do you call it? The epicenter? I don't know. Apex of the sort of the end results of everything I've learned about Minecraft Redstone during my time on this channel. And again, I will be doing this is the thing with the 16-bit is going to be the real 50 subscriber special. This is just sort of a taster for the thing, and I wanted to get this out so I could actually give you a video. This is the first video I've done since before summer, I think, or maybe during summer. I don't know. I've been trying to get a terminal video out for a while, but that's probably not going to happen for still a long time coming. Yeah. So anyway, this has been really fun to do. I'm very thankful for your support, all 50 of you. Maybe only 40 of you, since I had 11 that were from, back in the old channel days, and who may have not really been paying attention to me anymore. But either way, if you're still here, if you're one of those people who are the original 11 subscribers, leave a comment if you want, say hi. Let me know you're still watching. So yeah, this has just been really great, enjoyable for me, and I'm really thankful, everyone. This is now my time where I thank you for, watching my channel for all this time. Why don't we put in 50? Let's put in 50 to the number. I should have done that. That should have been my number. All right, let's put in 50 to the machine. Yeah, and while we're while I'm doing this, I want to continue to thank you all for your continued support as my channel grows, and I hope that you will continue to support me, as my channel hopefully grows larger, and 100, maybe even 1,000 one day in the far future. That's kind of my aspiration. My aspiration is 1,000 subs. That is my, well, when I get to 1,000, I'll be like, yay. But that is a long time coming. We're at 50 now, so this is the small things. Small things I know, celebrate our great victory here. And 50 is a big step, actually. I remember when I made the 15 sub special. So much has happened since then. So yeah, let's put in 15 to the machine now, and you can see we actually got those 64 and 17. I mean 64 and 28, or whatever the number was before. 64 and 17 red. So let's put in 50. Make a bunch of this. 43. 50. Okay, we're gonna put 50 in the chest and watch the machine go, and let's see what gets printed out. This can be my new. I'll put this on the. I'll probably have my standing there, but there as the logo, as the thumbnail for this video. But I might also have me standing here. Here, if I can get it to function. Me standing here with the whole thing in the background as the logo, as the thumbnail for this video. Maybe I should have myself off in the corner. I don't know. Anyway, I'll do the logo later. But yeah, let's just see what this prints out, and then I'll end the video here. And again, I want to thank you all. I want to emphasize, this channel would not. This channel would just if it hadn't been for you people, really subscribing even, and some of you thumbs upping my videos, I might not have continued, because I feel it's kind of what's the point in uploading videos when you can just play the games yourself and enjoy them yourself? But I really want to share this stuff with you, and I'm glad you enjoy it all. You enjoy all my rantings and, random things that I say sometimes, and tangents I go off onto. And here, look, it's an overflow. I love when this happens. It goes like da-da, 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 and then it texts the next one, and then they do it all over again, so then they can have one more overflow value. So yeah. this has been a really fun project, and I'm really glad that I finally got a working product. Because I was very concerned that I am still very concerned that 16 by 16 thing is never going to get finished. But I have high hopes for it. I am actually now I'm expecting that I'll get it finished, but technical challenge may be of plenty, and it may be a while. But this I wanted to get out, and it's just it's awesome. I'm very thankful. I still have yet to. I'm working on that. In fact, actually, in the 16 by 16 bit, this is going to require a huge amount of these. Just saying, guys, because in order to actually process 16 colors or 16 different numbers, you need a whole 4 bits. You need a whole 4-pack of these. So this I'm going to also need to like somehow come up with a way for like the 4-pack to translate that into a color block. For one block, you need like 4 of these in the 16 by 16 bit thing, because it's all colors, all 16 colors. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Here we go. We got this number. We got this printed out. Let's go ahead and print it on the board. So let's go ahead and flick the lever. Here we go. And it's the 50. And 3, 2, 1. Flick the lever. And let's go ahead and watch it all unfold. Let me make sure the screen is actually reset. Yep, everything's set up. All right, it's working wonderfully and not malfunctioning, as I was very concerned it was going to do at some point. So yeah, there's one row. The next row is now loading up. Okay, this is gonna be. I don't know what it's printing. It's gonna be like a weird little thing at the bottom right of the corner. Hey, that's actually kind of nice. You know, it's like a quadrant highlighter. Huh. Right, so yeah, as this is printing, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Your continued support in my channel, and just you being my supporters and my subscribers and people liking my videos and watching them. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this 50 subscriber video. I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope you have enjoyed my channel and will continue to enjoy it in the future. Yeah, soon I'm going to be, just as a little heads up, soon I am hoping to do like a history of my channel type thing, because it's been 3 years and I have a history of this channel already, even though we're only at 50 subs. Also kind of like what I think about Microsoft, because I've been meaning to say something about that for a very long time. I just haven't really gotten around to it. I've tried recording that video actually 2 times now, and I'm hoping to finally get it. 3rd time's a charm, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Again, thank you for supporting my channel and for supporting in the future. If you like my channel, and if you have been watching my channel for a while, then join the growing community of subscribers. Now that we've hit 50, we can continue to grow. I hope to see you as we continue, as my channel continues, hopefully, to get grow in size, and you know, more people to enjoy my videos and get happiness from them, and hopefully knowledge in the case of like this video. I know it's been a little confusing, this video, and I hope you have stick with me, and I hope you continue to stick with me in my channel in general. And yeah. So as usual, at the end of all my videos, I have been saying way too much, and goodbye.